Quick reminder for the people who are newer to the call, if you have a stock that you wanted me to take a look at, I opened the chat window. I don't look at the Q&A and the other stuff, so bookkeeping matter. So on the SPYs, so we're still consolidating above 278. The big picture view. You know, we got up to 280-ish here a little bit a couple of days ago. But as long as we continue to consolidate above 278, I don't think there's that much to pay attention to in the SPYs. It's gapping a little bit lower with the Netflix big move to the downside. What we can do is we can keep an eye on does it quickly catch a bid and get back above 279. That would be interesting. And then the next support, they keep on walking it down. You can see these kind of mini downtrend developing from the pre-market yesterday at 280. Support's right here. Below 278. So not much to really pay attention to there thus far. IWM, on the other hand, after failing up at the 270, came off pretty hard, and then failed on the retest of this 168.40 area 2 out of 3 days. Yesterday, actually sold off pretty hard. Took out the support from Thursday. Did catch a bid at 166. So we'll watch to see if we can get back above this. We kind of poked our head above in the pre-market. Until IWM retakes 168 and can kind of close up in this area here, I would watch to see how much more of a retracement. We talked about this yesterday. I think this was a big move here. I guess 166 is a pretty reasonable retracement at $3.50 down. This is actually the midpoint, 166, between where we bought a couple of weeks ago, 162.5. So that's a pretty normal retracement. Watch if it gets above this little mini downtrend, starts to hold above 168, that would catch my attention. So this will probably be the last kind of slowish day now that we're in earnings season and things really start to report after the close today. There isn't that much going on. I actually didn't put J&J. We'll take a look at J&J. I didn't put it on the sheet. That's the other big cap stock that reported. They're on a conference call right now. So Netflix, I did not ended up putting up on the, I remember yesterday morning meeting I mentioned I might put on a put trade. I looked at the 365s. I didn't put them on. It would have paid off probably around 7 to 1, 8 to 1, something like that, based on the after hours move. So I'll have to make all the money the hard way. So they missed on international and domestic subs. Now remember, last quarter, it was this move here from 300 to 340 on earnings. Did a retest, actually took out the earnings low when the market had this little mini sell-off in late April, and then went on this $100 plus breakout from the prior all-time high. We're just about, you'd think that they would test that high from last quarter following the earnings, which is the mid to high 330s. That would be the obvious thing to do. I was surprised when I woke up this morning that it had been up at 360. I just honestly didn't think it would, but I guess Europe opened and people started buying it in Europe and went to 360. It's right back down to where it was trading in the after hours for us. So if you can see, initial reaction was down around 342. It popped up to 350, tested. It never got below 342 after the sellers kept on stepping down. But it's above there now, or actually maybe going to sell off right as I'm talking to you. So I think people are watching this 350 here. And here we go, maybe. So I don't think anyone's long it on the desk. I think people are just short it, probably looking for the flush down into here. So what did I put on the sheet? Okay, I put 342.5, 345. 345 is just kind of the obvious number. So this is kind of my range that I'm starting to work with coming in. We'll see. I mean, this thing could definitely expand, but basically short bias on failures up in this area here. Comes into here, I want to see how it behaves. As I mentioned a minute ago, I would much rather see it flush all the way through here, go into the high 330s before catching potentially a decent bounce. I think from a bigger picture perspective, I think it has a decent possibility. Maybe it's a 1 in 4 of working its way down, even down to 320, 325 over the coming days and weeks. Just because of that run last quarter was so big. And you can already see some of the analyst comments talking about Disney's coming next year at some point, I think. And then you have the other analysts on the other side saying once every 4 to 6 quarters they have a sub miss and they never repeat on the sub side. So it's kind of, they're going to be battling both sides. I don't see why it would get up much higher than, let's actually go on the longer term and see what we got. Trying to figure out where it could bounce to over the next week or two. Yeah, I guess I don't see why it would get above this area here around 380 to 385. This was the kind of the fourth sold off here a couple of times. So from a bigger picture perspective, let me zoom out a little bit more. I guess 330 is kind of, so I would say in the next few weeks, like this would be my thinking the range. So we're starting to make some money on the short side now. I think if people are short, or basically short from this area in here. I see the failure at 352. And yep, I had 51.5, 52 on the sheet. So, and then confirmation is holding below 50. I just hope it keeps going. We're already shorted. Be careful. You want to get involved when it starts to tighten. You can really see a buy or a sell area. You want to try to risk at most $2. So you're really looking at $4 to $6 moves at a time. We can see already it's come off $4 now from 350. So anybody who's shorting in this area here probably should be covering some and covering your risk, and then let's see what happens. OMC, it's down a few bucks on a conference call now. The EPS numbers were good, but they missed a little bit on revenue. I think it's probably down because in this strong an environment for an advertising company to miss on revenue, a little bit surprising. Now this was down at the end of May at $70, ran up 10%. I guess they're gapping right to here. The offer right now is at 75. If it does catch a bid right on the open and bounces, I would think this would be an area where people would be wanting to sell it. If it doesn't get much of a bounce, it starts holding below 75 and 74.80. This area right here, you're looking for a move down to 73.40. I guess I put 73.35 on the sheet. Let's support here. And this would split the difference. This is about a 50% retracement from low to high. CLRV. So this one normally does no volume. It normally does 50,000 shares. It's on a few hundred in the pre-market. It looks kind of ridiculous to me that it was up that much. I think other people caught on. It's already sold off a few dollars. They do small biotech, does cancer drugs. They had a single patient who did really well on the drug. One patient. They did a press release. So I'm going to go to the daily to see the last time it was up. Here we go. So this is one of those, probably did a 10-for-1 reverse split, if I had to guess. So it would have been down at 75 cents. This is probably was $80 at the time. So what happens when a stock gets beaten down like this much, failed small biotech, is they don't want the stock to be trading below $1, so they'll do a reverse stock split, which then jacks up the price. So this morning when it got up to, I guess, 14, it's like the equivalent of $1.40. So I guess in the scheme of things, if you think about it, really isn't that big of a move. It's just the fact they did the reverse stock split. The other thing is when you do a reverse stock split, it lowers the float, so then it does make it easier to manipulate the stock. So that's for the flip side argument for that. It could go up a lot. So $20 would be the equivalent of $2. Right now, sellers in control. So failed at 14.5, got below 14. The short worked for some people there. I suppose as long as it's above $10, people will be looking at it on the long side. Goes up here, makes a lower high, and people will look to see if it goes through. But it's already done 300,000. Hopefully, I'm just looking on the chart here. It did 600,000 back here at the beginning of June, so I'll probably do a few million shares. Let's take a look at J&J. So they're on the conference call right now. It is up. Domestic sales were up 9.4%. They beat revenues by 3%. Looks pretty good. So coming into the number, so they bought it coming in. It looks like there was some news here a couple of days ago. Let's see how it's positioned. Have this crazy day here, back when the market got hammered. It's been having trouble getting back above 130 for a while. You can kind of just see the last couple of months. The buyers are stepping up a little bit. Let me step up to here. So here we are. So they did take it down to 122 initially, it looks like. I've seen this with J&J where they initially take it down, then it rallies back up, and then they crush it again. It's actually a pretty good stock for, you would think it wouldn't be that volatile, but it's liquid. So I think this is what we're looking at here. We're looking at 127.5 to 128 and 124. So if it comes up here and fails, but it's shallow, and it only pulls back to 126 and change, like here, it supports, and I look for the move up through the morning high, something like that. We go to the 5-minute and see if we can drill down a little bit. Here was the initial move. I'm not sure why it dropped to 22 first. It was 6 o'clock this morning. That's probably why. It's done 150,000. So I think it's a little bit tough to be getting long at these prices up here. But again, if it flushes down through 126 and then you see it get back above and starts to hold, the high from a couple of days ago was 27.5 and was up at 28. The numbers were solid, so it wouldn't surprise me if it got to here. I'm just listening to the news guy. They're on the conference call making Johnson & Johnson's making comments about their interest expense or something. So I'm definitely leaning along on this one. The one thing that would get me short is some sort of quick big move right on the open, then a failure at 128. Then I'd play it on the short side potentially. But my preference right now is to look for the long. Just quickly on the second days and technicals, IQ finally kind of got to our target area we've been looking at for about a week or two. It was at the end of the day, came off with Netflix. That's not surprising. And they do video in China. I would think that even if they tried to buy it on the open, it would fail, make a lower high from yesterday, and then they'd hit it down to this 34 area, 33.5, 34. Seems like the more logical thing for it to do. In the after hours, it came down to 35. So personally, I'm going to look for if it pops here to fail into 36 and come back down and test at least yesterday's low. NVRO, this is a nice job someone putting in the chat. Goldman Sachs is really not a good intraday trading stock. If it's really tight on the open and consolidates, then maybe it's worth taking a look at. It's just very erratic. It's maybe not as bad as some energy names intraday, but it's pretty bad. Hard to control your risk. NVRO, we talked about setup on the long side. That's kind of what the institutions played it as. It held 56 in the pre-market on the open and went up $3. Sold half into this up move. Today I'm going to look to see if it can hold 58. And remember, a close in this area up here would be confirmation that's going to probably have a bigger rally over the next few days. And then finally, TRCO. Goldman Sachs is a pretty good swing trader, though. So, I jumped into this one at 32 yesterday for the quick long. It was on the FCC saying no good on the merger with Sinclair. It bounced a couple of dollars. I would just continue to watch this range, 34 to 32. So that's why I put that on there. As always, be patient and good luck.